testers don't like to break things. They like to dispel the illusion that things work. Kainer, Bach, Pettichord. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Earth Eternal. Welcome. So tonight we're doing a little bit something different just because it's a busy month for me in November, especially for next 2 weeks. Or I'd say mostly for probably next 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks actually. Solo parenting. I got sick twice this month. I'm gonna be picking up my mom tomorrow. She'll be here for a couple of days, and I drop her off at the airport, come back and pick up my wife. She's gone. I'll be picking her up on a Wednesday, and just back and forth driving. Each way to Omaha is about an hour and a half. So it's terrible. So one of the things that I've pretty much, recruited myself or provided services for, maybe that's just a better term for it, is working on Zoom Truth with David and Greg, and I'm still getting set up, and now I can actually spend some time on it while also doing a live stream. And now what I'm going to be doing today is going through a zoomtruth.com developer testing walkthrough and assessment. So what that means is I'm going to test the site. It's not going to be too much, but it's not going to be little at all. What I'm trying to find are vulnerabilities, security vulnerabilities, any bugs, things that I could enhance or Greg can enhance. Greg is the developer. Dave is founder. I think he's co-founder with his brother. We'll see when I log into the People's Finder. And, it's just how... build it out. Look, there is a lot to talk about, so let me get through the whole intro spiel like I usually do, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so let's see. Go here. Okay, you can always donate to me via cryptocurrency, via Bitcoin or Vertcoin. It's been over 17 months, $0 in via cryptocurrency donations. You can always check it on the blockchain, and I show it every time. 3 transactions. Those are from my old Patreon account, giving to Susie Dawson when she needed it, and Vertcoin, which of course there's no transactions with that address. Now you can always do it with Google Super Chat. Google, YouTube take a big chunk out of it. If not, you can always do a donation through PayPal, and I've only gotten 2 donations so far, 2 big donations from Miar in the Panhandle, Mia for short, and that's it. One for this month, one for last month? One for this month, one for previous month. I only started the whole PayPal.me on September 22nd, 2019. So on the first video of the month, so October, the first video I do in October, I'm going to disclose all the donations I received during the previous month, which will be, December, not October. In December, first video that I do on December, I'm going to disclose how much donations I received in November through PayPal.me and on Google Super Chat, and also in its entirety of all the donations I've received, except for the ones, of course, that I've on Patreon. That's a long time ago. I don't think that data still exists. But, just saying my thank yous and all that stuff. People always go, hey, why don't people just use their skills to help make the world better? Well, that's me. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just providing my services for free, nothing in return. Donations are it. And well, Now, if that's what you say, why don't people use their skills to make the world better instead of making a lot of money? I could be making $150,000, $200,000 a year, still living in the big city and things like that, caring less what other people have problems with. But nope, I'm not doing that. So if you want to put your money where your mouth is, well, you can always show a little support. Now, if you don't have any money, you can always prove the globe Earth and get $15,000 from Zen Garcia and donate to me a 10% finder's fee. I mean, proving the globe Earth should be pretty easy, right? Because you've been provided hundreds, if not thousands or millions of proofs that the Earth is a globe. Well, go ahead and take Zen Garcia to court to get that $15,000. If he's not convinced, then there you go. Now we're going to... Now, all of my work is always public. It's always free. Sometimes you may not be able to see the full video on YouTube because I have to edit it, or I have to edit it and then upload it later because YouTube will block it or copyright strike or whatever, right? But I'm not going to have it. So I'm on Patreon or some other platform saying, hey, if you want to watch the whole thing or watch some exclusive content that you won't see on YouTube or anywhere else, you have to pay, like, say, a monthly fee or something like that. Yeah, you won't ever get that. So yeah, you can also always join me in talking about the subject at hand or any ideas with the Zoom meeting. Now, Zoom meeting is just a teleconference application. Eventually, actually, zoomtruth.com will have video chat, so we may not even need Zoom anymore. We'll just use Zoom Truth, and that will provide the teleconferencing needs, and that will be free. That's kind of weird, huh? But I don't make decisions about that stuff. You know, it's gonna help build it. Now, that's that. Now we're going to the Flat Earth People Finder. Now, I'm just gonna log in real quick and just kind of explain a couple of things and all this stuff. Oh yeah. So one of the things I wanted to do, and I'm gonna note that it's just an enhancement, because I like to use the keyboard the entire time. So what I do is after I put in my registration or login credentials, I hit enter, and I expect for it to automatically log me in and all that stuff. So I'll put in login. So what I have, which you don't see, is just an Excel spreadsheet. Nothing fancy right now, but just something that I can just fix it up a little, and send it to Dave and Greg, which is Flathead Politics. Now I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. So I've never met Brad Hicks. He's a co-founder. I'm pretty sure he's a relative of David Hicks. David, I call him Dave for short. I wonder if that's okay. I'll have to talk to David about that. Dave, see if he cares. So David Hicks is the founder. You can actually find him on Zoom Truth, the YouTube channel, and his idea to get this thing up and going, and he found one. And that was Greg, Flathead Politics. He also has a YouTube channel, and he's pretty much got the entire site up and running by himself, which is no simple feat. I probably couldn't have done it. And but after finding Dave's YouTube channel, watching some of his content, it's like, all right, this is something I could do. Let me help out. People don't know my history. It's my career history in the material world. I was in the U.S. Navy, got out, worked a couple odd jobs here and there. Worked at Microsoft, playtesting video games. Went on doing more testing. QA engineer was mostly my profession. Worked different corporations. Healthcare, I've worked with being a database analyst, data warehousing for a private healthcare, I think, company. Worked at some big name companies, Singular Wireless, during my stint at Microsoft. Raytheon, BBN Technologies. I didn't know Raytheon bought them out when I looked for the job at BBN Technologies. AIG was my last big major thing. I've worked at Interval Data Systems, which has to do a lot more with commercial systems, buildings, and things like that. And I worked with Harvard at University. I worked at and with Harvard University while working with Interval Data Systems to get stuff working, because they needed a quality engineer like I do. Basically, my specialty is in kind of building an infrastructure for quality assurance. So companies that don't have any QA, well, I go ahead and pretty much build it out for them. Sometimes it's just me, a one-man operation. Sometimes I'm able to hire people and got their prototype. They were basically, great story about this is Interval Data Systems. They had a prototype going at Harvard University. It wasn't working out. Harvard University's project manager said, hey, you know what? You guys probably need a quality assurance engineer to help you guys out, fix all the bugs. That way we could accept this pilot of this prototype. And, if that goes well, then you guys got more funding, about $2 to $4 million to complete your flesh everything out, and we'll implement the system at Harvard University. So they hired me, and 2 months later, they got their funding from Harvard University, and that's history. So for me, I'm not really what you would call a software developer. I worked in quality assurance. I worked with a lot of database stuff. I designed reporting services. I did development in software. Most of my development in software is in, of course, building the infrastructure and automation scripting. And some of that automation scripting deals with a lot of code. So I'm building my own prototypes for automation suites for different corporations to make things run faster, more efficiently, and get things tested quicker, because sometimes it's just me doing all the work. I can't test things manually and on a schedule that it wouldn't, like 20 quality assurance testers wouldn't even be able to complete manually. So, you've got to find ways to test faster, test more efficiently, and all that jazz. You guys should know all that stuff. Anyways, so some of the things that I'll be doing is testing out security. Because that's a major part, just looking at enhancements. And some of these things, look, a lot of you guys aren't going to know how to do, and I'm going to probably do these tests behind the scenes, so you guys just won't know how to do it. But I'm just going to, sometimes what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my testing on a different browser. You won't be able to see it, but I'm just going to voice things out, because I've already did a little preliminary testing of the site, and I found some pretty bad security flaws that, look, no one would know how to find these. 99% of the people out there would not know how to find these. So, but these are the things that are going to be known to Dave, are going to be known to Greg, and we all know how to fix it. So it's not going to be an issue. Now, one of the things that I do want to discuss with David eventually is how and when do we decide to disclose potential security risks to the public? I mean, is it when it's been exposed? Someone we realize someone has been looking at it and tampering with it, and then we let people know that it's happened, or what? But anyways, I did a teleconference with Dave and Greg earlier today, this afternoon, and because there's a big hubbub with Dave Weiss of Globebusters, or is it DITRH? I get them confused. There's too many Bobs or Daves. Anyways, you can watch on Zoom Truth's latest live stream about that. I think it's within the first 45 minutes. But anyways, Greg addressed it. I mean, there's just pretty simple things that were in the pipeline. Again, he's just the one-man development team now. He's got someone else to complement some of his work. And this is kind of what this live stream is about. So one of the things that bothers me is there's no version system on the main page, which it would be nice, because like, look, I could say in version 2.0 we're gonna have this feature or this enhancement. Well, what was the previous build? Well, we don't know that. So, you know, this is just a little enhancement that would make things a little bit easier to discuss what's going to be up and coming, what's going to be fixed, maybe give you updates. Like if I click on this thing, there are user notifications and alerts. It'd be nice to see alerts from the administrator and things like that. And maybe other things like, hey, look, there's updates, like there's a version update that occurred. What was in that update? What were some bug fixes? What were some enhancements? Were there some new features? Things like that. And maybe I mean, there's a lot of things that want to be included in this site. So eventually, I think what might help people is, you know, how do you use this in some ways where, you know, rather than just logging in, just looking around and going, I don't know what to do now. But just probably go over like, what can you do on zoomtruth.com. Hi, Captain Will. Thanks. Hi, John C. Oddity. Right. So I'm just going to put a little enhancement for number 2 is have version numbering. Okay. On the main page. So if you want to, I mean, I know I did a just really simple video on software testing, on quality assurance testing before. It was very, very basic, but basically the main thing is know the product. So again, this is just getting to know the product a little bit better. I could go and just focus on certain things and pretty much know that I can break it. There are bugs that I've already found. But again, 99% of the people on Earth won't know how to do it. And I'd say of those 99% of the people who would know how to do it, of 99% of people who don't know how to do it, I'd say that 80% of those people that don't know how to do it wouldn't even understand what if I even talked about it, what the hell I was talking about. So a lot of this I don't really want to reveal, just using some discretion. But again, I think there needs to be some way of putting out certain disclosures of potential security risks, potential issues that users might face. And I think that should be communicated to the public. Private corporations do that with public disclosures. Heck, Microsoft, which everybody pretty much hates, Apple too, they do that, and they're private corporations, or maybe they're public corporations, but you know, they still do those types of things. So, you know, if this is a public site built by volunteers without pay, open source and all this stuff, there still needs to be security in mind for the people who use the site. And Dave and Greg are pretty much very trusting people, and that can be a detriment in some ways, especially for the users of the site, because heck, imagine someone says they want to help, they get the source code, they find all these things that they could do, and just make life hell for them and ruin the site. And also get a lot of private sensitive information to private people or to disclose to the public, dox people and things like that. So there's that. Now, if I go ahead and I'm gonna have to make sure I put the bug down here. Just a couple bugs, so you may have to bear with me. All right, that's one bug. And people have a bad look on about bugs. It's like, oh look, everyone found all these bugs with the system. It's like, that's a good thing. It's better for someone who's looking for bugs to find them, report them, fix them, than just leave them alone and say, hey, everything's nice and dandy. Don't look, don't touch the site. Just use it as it's supposed to be. Everything's honky-dory. You don't want that to happen. I mean, there's been tons of data breaches and stuff like that with mega corporations. And here's the thing. A lot of corporations, they get a lot of funding, millions of dollars of funding, just for certain simple websites like this. Okay. Sometimes they have anywhere from 3 to 10 developers, a team of QA, either 1 to 3 people, sometimes more. They have project managers. They have a product manager, of course. They have hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars worth of hardware, software, packages, software packages, like they'll have like top-notch internet, top-notch security, IT team. You know, they'll have database developers, administrators. Sorry, I don't know why I'm calling them developers. And these are multi-million-dollar corporations. We're battling, creating our own thing with basically almost no money. I don't know where Dave and Greg get the money to, you know, get everything set up. Those are details I didn't ask. I mean, I've got my own private servers we can use, and that's the thing where I'm gonna try to mitigate security concerns with new people working on the site. Like one of the infrastructure things, and I need to add that as an infrastructure for my document. So for example, even though Greg encrypted the web config, most of you guys won't know exactly what the heck I'm talking about. That mitigates some security risks. We don't want people accessing developers who are working open source to access production level user data, sensitive information, things like that. So part of the things that I do want to do is set up one of my private servers, and people can, and it's going to obfuscate the data, get fake data onto it. People can make changes to the code. We'll release it on the dev server, test server, test it there. We'll look at the code, see if it's good. There's no backdoors or anything crazy like that. And we'll release it live on production. And we'll also have other things in works. There'll be backups. There'll be rollback availabilities. Say there's a new version that came out. It's really buggy, or it breaks, or something like that, or someone did implement a backdoor or something like that. Well, you know what? We could just roll back like that, and it won't be a problem. It won't mess up any user data for anyone who registered or updated information. So that stuff is going to be in the work that I want to build up, have documentation for new people who want to work on the site. And you know, if you don't have any experience being a developer, or heck, even a tester, or doing design work, whatever, you know, I think what we want to have is just people to being able to train people. Like, I know it's hard for people who get out of college to have the technical skills to get a good paying job. Most of the time they're going to have to work as an intern at some company. Well, you know what? You can help work out here. This builds your programming skills, your testing skills, whatever design skills that you have. People that your corporations you're trying to impress and get a job with. Well, you can show them some of the things that you did for this site. So that's that. So in one. So sorry, I'm writing on my document, and I'm gonna look at chat real quick after this. So let's see. Sorry, gotta look at the chat. So many, like, whew. Right now I'm only working on 2 screens. Usually when I work on stuff like this, I'll have 3, 4 screens. So I'm limited to 2 screens just because, you know, I didn't expect to do some things like this. So having 2 screens while I'm streaming and doing this stuff, and it can be a little bit overwhelming for me. And it probably isn't too exciting for anyone else. But again, it would be good if someone wants to come in, ask questions, just talk, you know, while I'm doing some of this stuff. Okay, let's see. I don't know. Hey, baked beans and toast. The plain truth. Is this a dating stream? Let's see. Yeah, you guys. All right, you guys are just having fun over there. All right, okay. What did I mention? What else did I mention? Let's go back to bugs. Usually I would say things out loud just so there's no dead silence. But some of these I don't really want you to know yet. I want to talk to Greg and David so they can know about it. We'll figure out a time frame to fix it, let it out, and then we'll just have a an enhancement. So version numbering, man, there's so much stuff. These enhancements and features that I want to do, infrastructure, I will point out. So there's the version numbering and what was updated in the latest build, and what we'll also include for an enhancement is administrator messages. What's funny is there are certain terms used in software, like there's a global page, right? But you know, for flat earth we called it a flatter page. Plain page, you know, it's always like global something, global ASPX, global whatever. So it's gonna be funny, and like if you're gonna send a message to everyone, all the users on the site, it's called a global message. So are we gonna come up with a new term for it? Are we gonna call it a planar message? Right, so those are some interesting things that we may tackle just because we're flat earthers, right? You know, that's just, I don't know. Let's see. Where am I at this? Okay. Now there's even though you know, I was always one of those people, I didn't want to be like the greatest at one thing. I just want to be good at just everything. So as a software developer, I would say I'm not like a great software developer, but as someone who understands everything with software, hardware, IT related stuff, database stuff, testing, automation, so I can just kind of work wherever and just kind of learn it real quick, build it out, make it work, and then just refactor it. That just refactoring just making the code a little bit more efficient and faster and things like that. Less lines of code. Basically, that's what refactoring means. I know I'm talking to a lot of people who, yeah, sorry. But anyways, I'm just trying to get you used to some of the tech jargon, because This might be something I might be doing on a regular basis, if not weekly, at least once a month, or maybe whenever a new build comes out that has a lot more new features and enhancements and pretty big fixes to certain bugs. And I think, you know, it's just kind of like a developer update. You know, you get these dev updates for video games and all this stuff. So do we want to handle it that way? So, you know, we'll see. Okay, let's look here. Administrative messages. And not going too much here. All right, let's start. It's been what, 32 minutes? We really haven't gone doing much testing yet, so I'm gonna sign out. I do no bugs, so I'm not gonna test that part out. But just so if you were gonna create like an account, these are the things that you're going to have. Okay, and terms and conditions should have, if we're going to have our terms and conditions, or else just not have it. So that's just something simple, right? Okay. Now, sensitive information, username is really not that important. I mean, some people want to have a username so people know who they are. Email can be sensitive. You don't want people to know your email address. And if you use your same email address in, like, say, a bank login, and you unfortunately, for some reason, use the same password, which I do not recommend, that can be bad, because that means they have your email address. They could try logging into different banks with that same password. They get in, now they have access to your bank account. So these email and passwords, sometimes username, because usernames can be utilized to find certain people. Some people mostly just use your name, first and last name, or whatever. Postal code and city and state, if not in the US, that's not too bad. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the finder of people finders, to find you, so that's important, but it's not necessarily something where people can manipulate your data to do things that aren't very cool, you know. So that's where the security is in. And just so you guys know, Greg added some hashes and encryption to that information in the database. I looked at the code. I think one of the things that we'll talk about is the encryption type and the encryption level. I did look at the code. I was cheating a little bit and saying, okay, we're gonna have to look at that and change it, but those are easy things to change, really. And so I'm just gonna put that down. Now, aside from the email and the password, when you actually create your account, and one of the things that I would end up doing here, which I'm going to test it out on another browser, so you guys don't know how to do certain things which are might be illegal, actually. So I'm going to do something here, and hopefully I don't break anything. Okay, good. Let's see. Good, right? Errors. Good. Okay. That's good. At least that's not an issue. However, it should not accept that. All right, so that's something to have. All right. Excuse me. I'm not fully healed from my sicknesses. So, what's interesting is certain times when I'm testing things, and here's another thing that's a big credit to Greg and Dave. Formal building of software, especially even websites, functional websites, they have a specification, things how they want it to look, how to act, basically criteria that's to be met and stuff like that. Well, none of that's there. It would be nice if it did, but that takes a lot of time, that takes a lot of effort, and coordination, and people who've been in that industry and done that, and neither here nor there, but still trying to bring a little bit of order to all this. And as a one-person team, now a two-person team, but it won't be a two-person team till probably like the end of next week, because I'm kind of busy. It's tough. So a lot of these would be things that would be postponed. So within a team, this is where a project manager comes in handy with developers and quality assurance. There's a triage. Basically, when you write up a bug, there's a formal procedure. It helps developers, it helps the project manager. Then they can sort the severity of that bug within the system, and they could also the priority of actually fixing that bug in the next build and in future builds, because they can't just fix everything and then just go with the next thing. They've got schedules that they have to keep up with. So we'll have to figure out what the major priorities are, and that still takes time. That takes coordination. It can be a pain in the ass, really. Let's see, but there are different ways. So there are different types of formal or informal software QA practices and things like that that we can implement. But right now, we won't know that till a little while later. So these aren't too bad. Things you may notice, but really, you have to go out of your way to try to break the system. And who's going to really want to do that except for people who aren't very nice? And it's not going to affect anything, so it's still secure. Let's see. All right. Where do I want to go next? All right. So, as far as sensitive information, again, I think I'll go ahead and talk about that once I log in. And mine is, son of a gun. All right. I already did that. Well, I could test the, forget password. And that works. Good. And let's test that up. That's good. All right. Not too bad. Let's not do the remember me. Logging in. Now, first thing that happens when you get in, the map is loading with all the people that are there. And it takes a while to load. I've already got plans to make that faster and better. I mean, really, it's nice to see a lot of things, but how is this useful? Basically what really matters is people who are close to me, where I can reach out and interact with most of the time and say, hey, let's try to schedule a meetup or activism in, say, Omaha, right? It's going to be a certain mile radius, and I think what would be good to have included in this map is and this may not, it's not really a problem with the code. It's just something that we may have to look at bringing over from Google's API, is a distance bar. I mean, we could click on someone else and know the distance from where we live. Oops. All right. Well, it used to have it. What happened? Right. So what I want to do is for an enhancement. It may be a feature, is bring in a distance bar. I guess in miles. That way you get a good sense of just how far things are, and also have a default selection that you can have, because this can be your dashboard. What I want in the future, and that's going to be a feature, is to have a customizable dashboard for users. So we'll allow customization to occur, so you can have it start out with certain terrain, satellite, distance, etc. that you put in. Just like here, I can work on my profile and messages, account settings and more, and things like that. I think, and some of the stuff I may not show again yet. So a customizable dashboard. 2, I don't really like white backgrounds. It's just too bright for me. I mean, I don't mind it, but when you see me on when I'm doing stuff on YouTube or something like that, I prefer, or Twitter, I prefer the dark background. So just having themes that you can have, I think that would be nice, just because I would rather have a dark background than a very bright background. So customizable themes, or preset themes, I guess we could say that. Preset themes, that will make things easier. All right. And one of the features that I thought would be cool is and I saw it here before, but we would be able to see how far someone was. And I think that's no longer there. I think that's to cut the loading time, and that's why it's no longer there. Should that be a feature? Yeah, let's just bring that feature back. And the way to do that is to enhance the way things are loaded. So whenever I'm going into some tech jargon, so watch out. basically when a user logs in, all the metadata, basically metadata is just temporary data, is stored on the session itself. So that's why you get the longer loading times. There are different ways that we can make the loading times faster. Again, don't load all the tiles, just have it, that's pertinent to wherever you are in a certain area. You can compress and uncompress. I think that's just a little bit more time consuming. One of the ways that I like having things is having all the metadata stored in the database, and just have a schedule on that database. Look for any changes that they need with Google's API to do a check, and if there's a difference, we'll just update that data or insert that new data, or just do updates there. And then on user session, when they first log in or if they register, well, you use that as a trigger to update the database, or you insert new user info into the database. That way, when you get to the landing page, it's instantaneous. You don't have to wait. All the information is there. And then after that's loaded from the database, heck, maybe you can do a metadata check with the API, and then it just adds the stuff later. So there's millions of ways. I won't say millions. There's multiple ways of making things faster and more efficient and things like that. So that's in the works. What do you let's see, faster dashboard maps. And what I liked was the distance to other users. And I think what would be fun is to have this amount of supposed curvature. I mentioned that. That probably won't be for a long time. Hold on, I need to cough. Okay, hold on, let me look at chat. Is the site safe? Yes, I'd say it's pretty safe. You'd have to be pretty good at, I don't even say hacking, cracking, but hacking is the term that everyone understands. You'd have to be pretty good, know what you're doing to find it, and I would say less than 1% of the people in the world understand how to do it. And at most, it's not like they're going to get social security data. It's not like they're going to get your first and last name, because you don't input any of that there. I think you may input your first and last name in your, well, let me see. Do people do that within the my profile? So let me see. Did I do it? I think I might have. Yes, I put my first and last name. You can put your phone number. That could be a risk. Just the type of sensitive information that people can get, like your contact number, your phone number, if you have your contact number. Your first and last name, because sometimes your username is going to be different, and your email address, and password. But password is pretty secure now, so it's not like they can really figure it out unless they're able to decrypt the encryption or something like that. Figure that out. So I mean, 4 things that they'll get from you that's pretty bad is. But it's not too bad. Is like your first name, last name, email address, and phone number, and you have to input 3 of those 4 things in your own my profile. So most people don't fill out that whole thing. Let's see. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now there is a thing on messages. So if you go to messages. You can send direct message to other people. Oh, this is the I'm Mr. Sandman. That's Captain Whittle from Lithia, Florida. Hi. Now, the other thing that could have potential sensitive information is I don't think I think these messages for each individual are supposed to be private. But if someone wants to find a way, if they get your personal information, basically what really matters is the username and the user ID that's stored, and then if they have access to that and figure out the other tables in the database and the columns, they can maybe find all the messages that you've sent and received. So if you sent private information in these private messages for some reason, and someone is able to get your private information by cracking the site and the security, then they might be able to view your messages. They might even be able to change your messages, because all of that would be stored in the database itself. So if people really know what they're doing, they really want to cause harm, they can do so. And I'd say less than 1% of the people have that technical ability. So I'm not too worried about the site being insecure. Just leave it at that. But again, this is something that's going to be addressed and fixed and upgraded while I'm working on this site. And I'm pretty sure Greg knows how to do all that too. First major part is just finding out, and the next part is fixing it, and the next part is beefing up everything, the next part is adding more. You know, it's just layers upon layers. It's just like trying to stay warm in the winter. You can wear one big coat, sometimes that won't work. The best thing to do is have layers of protection. So the best security measures is to create layers of protection, and we're going to do that layer by layer. I think for chat, as far as here, now this is the public chat. I think what would be nice to have as an enhancement is just have messages as being private messages. So it may be on a different little area, because maybe sometimes you just want to direct message certain people and not have it known to other people or something like that. Just like in Twitter, you want to send direct messages instead of just tweeting at somebody. So just a small enhancement there. And because give me a second here. You guys don't want to hear. Ooh, all right. Still got a lot of fun. Another thing, if we are going to have private messages, we might want to add another layer of security to that with some encryption. I think that's kind of low on the to-do list, but something we might want to do. And another feature maybe down the road is to be able to download messages. And because right now I don't know how many messages a user will be able to store, and maybe if there's going to be a limit to the amount of messages a user might have, because if someone wanted to spam message after message after message, be able to include good thing you're not really able to include attachments, you know, like pictures and photos and stuff like that. You can easily bog the system down just to create trouble for the site. So good thing that's not there, but still, text usually doesn't take up too much space. So excuse me. Also, something I just looked at and figured out could be another security measure. You do have links to Facebook and Twitter. So if you're already logged in, usually it's not. I mean, it's just something I'm gonna have to look into the code. So, but of course, security-wise, if they're able to access your account, they can access your Facebook and tweet. Of course, they should be able to ask you to log in, but where, I'll have to look where that session is stored, and usually that session is stored within your browser. So I'll have to look at the code there. So maybe I'll just do a new sheet in the Excel document. Things to look at, which will be redirects. Okay. Let's see. So there's people send messages. I could do a lot of bad things here. Let's see. I want to test something out here. I'll wait. I don't want to break something right now. And you guys, if I show you it, you'd see it. So let's not worry about that. Let's look at the. Did it time out? I think it timed out. Or did it? No, I just pressed cancel. That's what it was. What is that? Woo. Okay. I think we don't want that. Hold on. Yeah, we don't want that. Let's see, 7. Oh man, I get a lot of phlegm. Give me a second here. I'm gonna have to. Whew. Pretty bad. Here we go. Let's do some more here. Let's look at the meetups. And some of it's longer, so just a little bit of I mean, it's just the size, for example. And that's one thing you could check. These are just visual enhancements. It's not too bad. That one's going to be looking at 180% zoom, so you guys can see it. So but certain things, I don't know how much you can put in here, how much text, but maybe have it so it goes over, because there's a lot of extra space here. Other enhancements is have a sort order for date, and this does not have. I'm assuming that this is all based on the time zone of where I'm located at. So actually having that specified would be good, just so it's clear. Um, because say I'm like right now I'm in the Midwest, so I'm in Central Standard Time. So if I'm going to California in Orange County, is like, hey, I might be able to go to this meetup, and it starts at 4:30 p.m. Now, is that 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, or is that 4:30 p.m. on Pacific Standard Time? So, and then when I go over there, uh, and I look at the event timing again, is it going to change based on my zip code, based on where where my user session that the server looks at says, hey, you're logged in California, so we're using the Pacific Standard Time. So, that 4:30 will end up being 2:30, right? So you don't want to just have to log in just to make sure. So having it specified, maybe it's just based on the time specified here, but then it just mentions the time zone or whatever, right? So I don't want people to get mixed up if they're gonna drive to the next time zone and they're there an hour earlier or an hour late. So that's just a enhancement. So sorting columns for meetups, and then also have time zones for time to prevent confusion. Good, you could go there. Maybe if I click on that, nothing happens. Sometimes you also have to test on different browsers. So what I'm doing is I'm testing on Chrome, and I am also testing on Firefox. Screw IE for now. So let's see if I click on that. Nothing happens on any of these, even though you can mouse over them. And we can view. If we view, we can get details. And what does that mean? Okay, we have the same thing here. You can do certain things. What would be interesting also, you can have it refresh, or someone edits the event description. I think may have to flesh out this, but this is more of something maybe like users might be able to have. For example, say someone has an event description, but then they change the event subscription, or they change the date of their function. And having a notification of a change and what changed would be good. And I'm using the back button, so this is just what usually happens. So that would be something I need to test out. Let's view this 4:30 p.m. And yeah, I'm still confused. Is it 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 4:30 p.m. my time? So if I go to California, it's supposed to be at 2:30. All right. In this, I don't know what that is. Does that need to be there? Don't know what that is. So meetups. Things to look at. Notification of changes to meetups. So that will just need a little bit more coordinated testing there. It's not hard to test. I just have to use a second account and do all that stuff. Activism, pretty much the same thing. So all of those three things are pretty much the same idea. So I'll just have to add all those enhancements and features. Man, I just have a lot more issues. Well, I'm running out of water, and my snack is a banana. I should probably eat the banana. It's when I'm working on stuff. I always end up getting hungry for snacking. Smart food is best. So, and a recharge. Let's see. Let's look at the chat. Everyone have any questions or their own enhancement ideas or features, or whatever? You guys are just having your own chat. That's fine. Yeah, my kids do not like ripe do not like ripe bananas, but because they get too sweet. Slightly green, not that bad. Fruit, oranges, bananas, grapes, apples. If you're gonna go and work in the technology industry, it requires some thinking. Fruit is very, very good snacks. Snacks to have to recharge your thinking. I used to just have bowls of fruit ready. Sweet stuff like coffee and soda, not too good. I stay away from that stuff when I'm working. Unless it's early in the morning with the coffee. But usually when I'm drinking the coffee early in the morning when I used to work, it would just be reading emails and planning out stuff and not necessarily working on what I'm working on. All right. There's our banana break. It's an hour and 10 minutes. Let's look at the calendar. Meetup conference. It's a lot of clicking on everything, really. List week. List day. A lot of these widgets aren't that bad. Profile messages, chat. Yeah, I don't like that. Doesn't make sense there. Let's refresh. Refresh users. Delete and block. I don't know if I want to do that. What happens? Let's not have that. Interesting. And I tapped absolutely nothing. Oh. Not authorized. Yeah, it's, those are just little issues. I gotta sort all that stuff better. That's fine. It's just things I want to look at. And again, this is not like a in-depth testing. This is just kind of exploratory testing. Let's see. Man Dark. Let's see what happens. Oh, psh, that should not happen. All right. Well, oh, and it didn't. So yeah, it's just a notification. Whew, that's good. That is real good. Alright. That just probably has to do with if you're going to be like a admin or a moderator, I'm sure. Video chat, we know it's not working. It's going to be worked on. Excuse me. Interesting. There's a lot of things to do there. Media. Recent Flat Earth News. It takes you to the link. Give me a second here. A couple enhancements we could use here, but I'm not gonna worry too much about that right now. This looks a lot better, the YouTube videos. You can tell the difference between the news. You can see that the image icons aren't well resized. Videos much better. I like this. The YouTube videos. I think it'd be nice to have multiple ones, but that's just gonna be a feature. And all this is just taken from YouTube's or Google's API. Is that also loaded in? So let's see. Let's choose something small. No, man, let's not worry about that now. Enhancements again. I think just on YouTube videos, just because there's just more out there. Let's just add it as a feature, and features just have sortable columns for videos. I don't know how this is all sorted. I think it. Yeah, I have no idea how this is sorted. Is it? It doesn't look like it's based off of date. Anyways, it's just a shuffle reload. I think what would be good to is also have maybe another feature I was thinking about is when if you could find other people through like the members, and have a like we can message people, right? But I think what would be nice to have is like a kind of a follow or subscribe, I guess. That way you can have updates to what a person you are subscribed or following or have done or doing. They're planning on going to a meetup, or if they created a meetup, if they're doing activism experiments, if they've uploaded videos or doing live streams, stuff like that. And I think that's a important feature to have. Subscribe, follow, get notifications. Oops, that's that. Oh, that was weird. Well, let's see how the search is doing. Good. That's when I joined. Basic map. Yeah. And I gotta clear something out. The back button on the browser unfortunately doesn't go back, so that's something that I think we should enhance. These are just a couple of simple things. Just do work. That could be fleshed out a little bit better. Stats. I think incentives can help. There's just a lot of things to do. Loading here. Enhancements. Yeah. No, we'll just write that as no, wait. That's fine. It's little issues. That could be a pain. They're probably tied up the same way. Oh, now that's gone, so that'll be fine. Yeah, that's what it was. That's probably just based off of sorry, I should have muted. It's probably based off the user metadata user session. You could fix that. And that only happens if I go to suggestions. Nope. If I go to stats, yeah. and that's for every time you click there. So I'll load. It's reloading the entire metadata. So yeah, that's something to look at. And it's gonna redirect back. Yeah. Okay, not that bad. And it's done. Okay, good. That's fine. And if you click on it, what is it? Does it have a drill in? Is there more details? No. So reporting factors. How much detail do we want to have? Does it matter? Is this just something for the admin? The stats? I'll probably talk with David on that. And of course, we shouldn't have. Good. That should just be hidden anyways for not just a basic user. So that's just a... let's call it bug. But there's probably different user types, so they'll have access and stuff for different things. Alerts. I think when there's new alerts, I think it'd be nice to have like a little extra change of icons. So that's a little bit of a design work too. So let's have an enhancement. And better notification icon for alerts. I guess that's just kind of vague. And more active for new alerts. Look, this is all, I know some people see issues with bugs, enhancements, and features and all the stuff I'm noting at as problems. I look at it as things that will make the site better. So there are problems now, but these problems aren't going to be around forever. Greg has a full-time job, works every night on this for free for like I think 2 or more hours. I don't know, quite a lot. So he probably doesn't have, he's not spending time to test everything from a testing standpoint. Plus that's not really his specialty. That's kind of my specialty. But now I've got a list of things I can go ahead and look at and fix, because they just seems like stuff that I would not want to happen, right? So I don't have to wait for David or Greg to fix them. I could just go ahead and fix them. I could enhance them. Just pass all this information by David and see what he thinks. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he wants that as planned but not enough time to be implemented. Wants to implement a different way. Wants it to look a different way, and all this other stuff. So it's a lot of coordination. Just like this is just a whole coordination site. I think it would be great. Eventually, is just kind of also have it as interactive ways to coordinate with other people, not just meetups and stuff like that, but actually on their own projects, and just kind of have it almost as a collaboration site as well. That's just in the future. Right now, so the idea of it is to find other people first. Like, what's the basic premise of the site? Find other people. What's the set, like flat earthers? What's the other main basic point of the site? coordinate events so you could get together. So is that premise being met? Like, at a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, does it work in the way that it's intended to work? Yeah, I'd say for that, yes, it works where it's intended to work. Now, are there possible issues? Contact. Okay, yeah, visible to David and Greg only, except it's not, so they can just yeah. Oh, that's fine. That's just usernames. Let's see. Give me a second here. All right. I might have to call it a session, just because for some reason my phlegm is acting up. But yeah, its intended functionality 10. Potential issues when things change 8. Because I don't know yet. I have to look at it a little bit more. Security level. Is it going to obtain sensitive information that could be detrimental to your personal security? Say there's not, like, the amount of sensitive information that it's mandatory to enter. It's just your username and email address. So just having a username and email address, it's not going to affect anything unless you use that same user and email address on your bank accounts or Facebook or whatever. So you shouldn't use that same password anyways, and username. But people do that. So I'd say it's are they gonna get access to your passwords? No, just your username. So getting that information, so it's pretty secure. Now, I've found ways to get around the security, but what's the likelihood of people figuring that out? 1 out of a billion. 1 out of 100 million. Some really good people may be able to figure it out. Yeah. So I'd say so far it's better. It can get much better, but still. Yeah. So just more layers, security doesn't hurt. It always makes it better. I think there needs to be a little bit more. What do I need? What do I say? What do I put? Some tighter restrictions on certain things, and that's fine. I mean, a lot of these bugs that are there, nothing big. People probably just overlook them anyways. It's not bothersome. Enhancements, yeah, features. That's mostly things to look at. I mean, there's a few things to look at. Infrastructure buildup. As far as bug fixing, it's if these bugs get fixed, 99.9% of the people won't even notice. That's the interesting thing about this right now. I'm looking at it more of a technical, high, super quality standpoint, but for typical users, they won't notice. For power users and people who understand just kind of hacking, breaking, testing stuff out, very small percentage of the people will know how to do it. They won't get any information, sensitive information out of it. That's super sensitive. You know, like your medical history or your social security number or your date of birth, all that stuff. That's really actually important stuff. That the most important stuff that they may get is just username and password. Voluntary stuff that you enter, like your phone number, your first name and last name, and personal messages, private messages, they can get stuff out of that, but only if you put that down there. I haven't looked at the database yet to see if the people, how many people actually have that information. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. And in, I'd say 2 weeks, none of that will be even a worry for me. So it's good. It's in good shape. Greg did a great job. It's only going to get better from here. David, good idea. Just build upon that good idea, and more people. When there's more functionality and just more things that people can do with this, once this becomes the main communication between people who want to do meetups and activism and experiments, then we know it's doing what it's intended. I don't really like this. I think also another thing is I clicked on the chat. It says there's 394, but since I clicked on it, it should revert back to 0. I think what would be good is to just based on the click is to just show updated information on these numbers. That's just something to discuss with David and Greg. All right. Again, have to reiterate, this is just people with their free time building this thing out for other people to use freely. Well, Nathan Fowler, would you be watching the FEIC 2019? No, I really won't. It's once you figure out that the Earth is not the globe, shape of a globe, as pointed out by the system enforcers, it's a personal journey from then on out. You could share your personal journey with others. You could watch others who have a lot of people who follow them and continue on, or go more in depth, but really you don't have to go very far. So what's the difference between like the FEIC 2019 with the 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014? Really, it isn't anything except just reiterations of the same things. It's a different year. Maybe some more new material that the system enforcers have in place and have touted out publicly. Maybe there are some individuals that went a little bit further, but I don't really see that too much. I mean, I'm pretty much subscribed to the majority of the flat earthers who make a lot of content. And I also subscribe to a lot of people who don't have a lot of followers or subscribers in the first place, that sporadically have videos that they upload. And they're stuck at just getting people to wake up to the flat earth. I just keep trying to go a little bit further. There's more to just the shape of the earth. And once you figure certain things out, there's just more to investigate that you can investigate. There's more things to focus on in your life and things like that. But it's not to say that there's no importance to flat earth. So, let's see. Earth Eternal. Why did you change your did you change your YouTube name too? Sounds familiar. Okay, so this is the live stream for tonight. I'm just gonna fix up the format of my Excel document, email it to David and Greg. I'll be too busy tomorrow, maybe the afternoon on Thursday. I'll just kind of show them around some of the issues that I've found, some of the issues that need to be addressed and fixed. And this is going to be one robust system. Like, I would be like, I think 1 full month of me working on this, getting a lot of the bugs fixed and some enhancements made and just some things cleaned up. I would love to just invite people to just go ahead and pound on the system, break the system, right? And see how that works. At this point, people who know what they're doing can break things. I could break things on any other site out there anyways. What's in it for me? I'd probably just only, get arrested or something like that. So there's nothing in it for me to do all that. You just have to be a bad individual to do stuff like that anyways. But that's why people like me are around. We're here to do things to prevent those people from even being able to do those things. So it's a non-situation. So hope you enjoyed this. You guys stuck around to chat to each other, so that's great. I'd like that. And this is also good what do you call it? Because I do things live, and the reason why I do things live is you get a good snapshot. That's the word I'm looking for, of how things are at a specific point in time. So if I do another zoomtruth.com developer testing walkthrough and assessment, say December 12th, 2019, and if it looks totally different, totally cool, then it's gonna be like awesome. People are probably gonna be like, hey, that's awesome. It's like, I'm not even a flat earther, but I want to use this site. Now that's when you got something good. So kudos to David, kudos to Greg on this, and let's get things going. The more platforms there are where people could communicate, get social networking going on without the censorship and the enforcement that's found on the mainstream social networking sites, I think the better we get this. So it's kind of like the United States, right? For the people, by the people. At least way back when they founded it. All right. So thank you. I will see you guys another night. And David and Greg, if you're watching or watching later, check your email. All right. Thank you and have a good night.